Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be where you are out there. Welcome back to the live stream.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It is so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is March 18th, 2019. It's a Wednesday. We're going to write a little bit of code today. How's it going there, chat room? I've got my Doctor Strange Eye of Agamotto hat on. We're going to be messing with time today. No, not really. How's it going, chat room? Let's say hello to the folks that are over here. Is that Nebro is here? Hello, Nebro7778. Good to see you. D-Trouble. Hey there. Welcome in. New Duck. Hello. Coded Beard. Good afternoon to you. Copper Beardy. He's another member of the Live Coders team. Good to see you. Jean Valjean 80. That's Coder 24801 to you. Good to see you, my friend. Epic Ninja 36019. Hello, hello. You are gone. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you later. Cryptic Coder. Hello, Stelzies here. Unhip Coder. Good morning. Yes, very early morning. Getting stuff done. We need to get things done before we get over to MVP Summit. That's later today. I'm moderating sessions all throughout the day. 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. It's a thing. It's a living. This is what I do. How's it going, Canhorn? Yeah, we're doing all right. 24601, not Nate. Oh, rats. All right, I will remember that. New Duck, you're doing all right? All right. Today's also day 6 of the pandemic lockdown. I'm going to keep remembering and talking about that. I was about to put a indicator up here on the line so that we can use this effectively as a little bit of a vlog, our time together during this interesting part in our in our species history, to be quite frank. More interesting things from the market yesterday, bouncing back a little bit, looks like, according to the futures. We're going to be crashing again today. Watching the economy is definitely not for the faint of heart right now. So that's fine. We've got other things to do. We are going to push this economy forward. We technologists, folks that are able to work from home, work remotely, work independently, we're going to make this thing happen. You're on day 2 of 14 of self-isolation, New Duck. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to all of you out there. Wherever you might be, this is definitely a difficult time for everybody. It's something that none of us have experienced in our lifetime. We're going to get through this together. I'm so glad he decided to take some time to tune in here. I don't want to dwell on what's going on with the things with people's health, with the things that are going on out there with the economy. I want to spend some time with us learning, making each other better, having a good time. Let's smile, let's laugh together, and let's try and make ourselves better, right? By learning, writing a little bit of code, improving some things so we can help the next person. Pay it forward, because that's how we're going to grow and hopefully turn this thing around when we get on the other side of this, okay?
60% of the time, it works every time.
No, it's going to work. It's not 60%. It's going to work, okay?
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
It does. Of course it does. It does exactly what I think it means. Hey, Ancient Coder, good to see you. Yeah, we're a little bit earlier this week. And this is actually, I think, working out. Other than the fact that I'm starting a little bit early and need to wake up a little bit earlier, which means I need to go to bed a little bit earlier. I'm not used to that. This schedule is working out. We'll see if I still feel that way tomorrow. Let me get some music to code by playing here in the background. This is music that's designed, it's scientifically engineered to get you in the groove, get you in the flow, so that whatever task it is you're working on, you can focus on and just get stuff done. You know what? Today I'm going to play Gold. There we go. Check it out. You can get your copy at mtcb.pwop.com, or you can execute the music command there in the chat room and click that link and learn more. Figured it just means time for more coffee and more branding opportunities, says Kate. You're not wrong. No. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff that we can do with this. Like I said, just means we need to schedule our times in the evening a little bit better. Good morning, Eternal Dev Coder. Hello, hello. Thank you for running the music command there, Ancient Coder. Much appreciated. Okay. When last we spoke, we were working on event bubbling, getting events to bubble from one component to the next inside of our project. This is important because it helps to enforce and helps to facilitate that parent-child relationship between components inside of the framework that we're working with and we're building. You want child components to be able to notify the parent component, hey, something happened here. And we started building out a little bit of those tools that we're going to need in order to facilitate that. And the first instance of being able to manage this type of interaction is going to happen between our buttons that we have and the FormView component. So in a button, you can click a button that says add, and it'll change the FormView automatically into add mode. Now, before we get into that, I do have some pull requests to take a look at over here. Over here, I'm not going to restart my Linux box. Thanks so much for the install, but not right now. I did some installs, I did some updates here, and I'm going to head over to my Linux box. Uh-oh. That's better. How we doing, Eternal Dev Coder? Hello. So, let me see. Do I still have... Nope, that's not the right GitHub link. All right, we're going to have to key it in. We're working on the Blazor web components here. And we have 3 pull requests sitting out there. I didn't see any action on these first 2. Working on the component ID generator. We need to specify an ID for our components as they're being written, as they're being output to the user interface. We need to make sure that that component has an ID that we can reference, and in particular, that the folks that are using JavaScript, are able to locate that component and interact with it. If you're using Blazor, I hope you're not using JavaScript also, and you're instead relying on Blazor. There it was. Thank you, Jean Valjean. So we'll see. I think we can make that a better experience. I hope it's a better experience with Blazor, but that's not for me to decide. That's more for the developers who consume our project. They get to decide. But we do have these grid view test fix. I was kind of frustrated yesterday. All the code that we wrote, we checked in, and it failed. It failed the unit tests out on Azure DevOps for the same kind of periodic failure reason that we're seeing with the grid view, where it isn't generating columns in the right order. This is an attempt to fix it, and Gareth and Julio here, they say, you know what, it doesn't really fix this, but it is a nice cleanup for the tests that are out there. I part of me wants to mark this as not ready, right? And I'm not quite sure how we should mark this as not ready yet. Isn't there a label here? No, I don't have a label for it. So let me just write in here a comment. No, I don't want to add files. I will hold off merging this until we get a solid fix for this issue. I think that's appropriate to do. It doesn't make sense to merge something that doesn't accomplish what it declares that it's going to do. No, it's not just on my machine, Smab. So we saw it happen here on my Linux install. Come on, show me the little check mark. You're not going to show me the check mark. I wanted to see the check mark. I'd really like to see that check mark. You're not going to show me the check mark. Okay. Oh, now we have it there. But it is right here in this first commit that we sent over. It's a test failure, and when you scroll down and look at the test results, there it is. It's the exact same thing where, and this is a problem that we haven't quite figured out what's causing this. When we instruct the framework, hey, generate columns based on the properties that are in this object, it doesn't always generate the properties in the same order. It's almost non-deterministic in .NET Core, where it feels like it was deterministic in .NET Framework, and we would always get the same order. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there. On HipCoder, the command is exclamation point JavaScript to trigger the horse's name. No. No need to do that, though. Hey, Greg, good to see you. What if we took a look at the source code that actually does this in .NET Framework and see if we can plug that in real quick? Maybe there's something we're missing there. Maybe there's something that we can grab and drop into the mix. What do you think, chat room? Should I go take a look and see if we can fix this column ordering real quick? Can I get your feedback there, chat room? I think there's something here that maybe the .NET Framework folks already solved that we just don't understand. Ancient Coder says yes, and I trust Ancient Coder implicitly. Oh, brother.
What's that?
I trust Ancient Coder implicitly with my stream. So let's see if we can take a look and figure out why this isn't working properly. You can go to sourceof.net, and look at the source code for .NET Framework. And I'm actually going to search for grid view directly right here. Now, there's going to be a ton of source code here, because if there's one thing that the Microsoft developers believe in, it's if you've got some source code, more is always better. And there's a lot there. Let's see if we can find that generate. Well, wait, grid view columns generator. Look at that right there. Create auto-generated fields. Hey, we might have landed right in the right the right spot. And maybe we found it. The more you know. All right. Let's see, what do we see here? Must have a real data source. Well, we do. Okay, so we have a type for a typed row property, which should be present only on strongly typed collections. No. Data source get enumerator. Sample item equals current. Sample item get type. Okay, so we've gotten a type. We must store the enumerator regardless of whether we got back an item from it, because we cannot start the enumeration again. Yeah, okay. Should generate field. Auto-generated field. Okay. So we haven't started going through the loop yet, but it creates a collection of auto-generated field properties. Create auto-generated field from field properties. And how does it decide what order to output them? Right? How do we know for each property descriptor in property descriptors, right? Where's this that? Because it's doing this for loop. It's just doing straight for each. Prop desks here. Prop desks? Because I guess it's the property descriptors. Where did that come from? Let's just walk back and see if we can find it real quick, because it's got to be there. There it is. Get item properties. So it's an I-typed list. Get item properties. Where's get item properties? Get item properties. There's got to be something there. Let's see if we can do a find. Right, because that's an interface. See if we can find the real method, right? So that's on I-typed list. Paged data source. Binding manager base. But that doesn't have a parameter it's taking in. Windows Forms. Windows Forms. Windows Forms. Windows Forms. Windows Forms. I'd like to see web forms, please. Maybe. System web entity. Maybe it's in this one. Get item properties. Oh, you stink. Alright, maybe it's not that one. Eeny, meeny, miny. Which one? It's gotta be in here somewhere. Is it this one? Seriously? Seriously? You convert it back to an I-typed list and call get item properties. Like, check the I-typed list to see if it has an iterator. So the property descriptor collection has an iterator in it. But where's the actual one of these that it's calling? Pardon me. It can't be down here. Return this visibility property descriptors. But see, this isn't in our source. Well, no, maybe it is. Get item properties. Okay. Where does visibility property descriptors come from? Somewhere else. What? There's that. New list. Entity data source utility get named columns. Is that a thing somewhere? Check argument. No. Get interesting members. And then get columns. See, I think this is working. This isn't working with reflection at this point. You know? Question about what's the base class? It's not. It's a static class. That's currency manager. List binding helper get list. Get list item properties. What do we have there? Get list item properties. Find that data member. I'm trying to figure out where it's doing the reflection to get the properties, you know? Because it's got to be around here somewhere. Right? Type descriptor, get properties. Component attribute. Filter members. Property descriptor collection. Let's take a look at what that is. System diagnostics, code analysis, system component model. Hey Frankus, good to see you. Is there a way that we can use this? It's a little bit further down the rabbit hole than I was hoping to find. I was hoping to find a nice meaty for loop that we could point to and say, oh look, it's doing a for loop. Here's how it's sorting. Here's how we're sure that it always goes through and gets the same order every time. But it's not there. But it's this right here that it's doing. That's so confusing. It'd be so much better if there was some way we could figure out exactly what it was. I'm gonna have to punt on this. I'm gonna hold off. There's definitely something here, but right, even if I go back here, grid view columns generator. Create the auto-generated fields, right? And it's this right here. So that it can build out that list of auto-generated fields. Right, because that property descriptors, if we scroll down, I'm keeping my cursor here so I can see the other side of the else. If the count is 0, throw an exception. Right. If it is not null and there is a count, data key names equals this, key names length, for each property descriptor. And it generates the field inside of the grid view. So it's doing a for each across this. It's how does it create that? And that's where we need to go back through here. If the comparer starts null or has a bad default implementation, then it won't ever be able to order itself until you write a custom comparer. Well, it's comparing strings, so we should be okay, I think. It's a property descriptor collection, right? And it does a for each on that. Maybe there's something in the iterator? Maybe? If we take a look at property descriptor collection. So it's an I collection, an I list, and an I dictionary. The index, okay, find, add, and it just adds it to the end. Just adds it to, it expands the collection of properties and adds it to the end. So the enumerator, it's interesting reading somebody else's documentation like this, right? Internal sort, found a matching property, add it to the array. Thank you for the follow, Graham Rudder. Welcome in. So it calls another internal sort with a comparer, and it sorts it. Type descriptor, sort descriptor, array. Yeah. Okay. What's the type descriptor, sort descriptor, array? Maybe this is what we need to be doing, because this is off of system component model. Sort descriptor array. Come on. Come on, I know you're here. Array list adapter infos. Sort. Member descriptor comparer instance. It's just an I list. Could this be the thing doing this? It has a property descriptor collection. How do we get a property descriptor? It's a member descriptor. Are we in reflection at this point? It's a name with attributes. Oh yeah, it's a lot of comments. Oh yes indeed. Thank you for the follow. Is that Nippers? Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us. This is a little bit down the rabbit hole. Let's do this. This is over here in the grid view column generator. And it's going to be on that collection. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this. I'm not quite sure how to solve this right now. I'm going to punt on it because I don't want to spend the entire stream on the rat holing on this, spelunking through that source code and try and find it. I'd like to actually get some code written. So let's write the grid view, the original grid view, would sort with a property descriptor collection? Was that what it was? Yeah. Right. Get item properties would return, yeah, property descriptor collection. Details at the .NET framework source at, there we go. So now we have a link that we've shared so that if I decide to pick this up later, if somebody else wants to take a look and get further into it, you can take a look at it here on this issue. I'm going to mark this as a bug. I'm going to mark this as help wanted and put a question on this. And if anybody wants to dig in, wants to go a little bit further with this, let me share this link. Kate's has a comment here. So that thing where it adds 1 to the array index and puts the item on the end, I'm pretty sure that's not thread safe. No, it's not. However, everything's running synchronous when you run a grid view. So that's okay, I think. If multiple add instructions hit quickly enough, could you end up writing 2 objects into 1 array slot, leaving another one null? It's an interesting point that you have there, Kates. It's a very interesting point. Let's take a look. Just to kind of clarify, and maybe we can isolate and get this test to reproduce regularly, get it to reproduce concretely, consistently. That's the word I was thinking of. Yes.
Do it!
Maybe I will. This is in which test is it erroring out? This is in the auto-generate columns test. So let's walk this back, friends. And I hope what you're going to see here is a decent exercise at kind of trying to figure out where the source of an issue comes from. I'm going to go back over here to the terminal. Oh, I've already got tmux started. Gosh. Silly me. Let me create... There we go. Yes. And I'm going to move this over. Why won't you move over? There we go. Too far. That's better. Let me go down in... Oh, I'm in the right folder. I don't want to run watch test per se. No, maybe I do. Alright, I do. I'd like it if I could just run one test. You know? Is there a way with .NET test to just run one test? .NET test, run one test. I'd like to just say, watch and run this one all the time. In Blazor, there is only one renderer per dispatcher, and dispatcher is tied to a single thread at the time. That seems to make sense to me. The question is, if you run it async, will it run that? It shouldn't. You can filter by display name, fully qualified name, and traits. .NET test filter, fully qualified name, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's see. I want to see if we can just isolate that test a little bit. So maybe we can do .NET watch test. Hang on. Watch. Yeah, that. So if I do... See, there's so many commands that we're passing around here. So if we copy that, right? And, no, don't scroll. No. Paste that in. That's not what I wanted to copy. That's not right. I'm just going to type it myself. Watch.csproj ms build test. I'm not going to turn off... Yeah, alright, fine. We'll make the verbosity quiet. Equals release, and over here it was -- filter. Was there an equals on that? Nope. Fully qualified name. Qualified name equals, right? Equals? Yeah. My namespace test class test1. So if I go back to where the error is being reported, go into here, I should be able to get that fully qualified name right about there. Bingo. See if that does anything. Unknown switch filter. So it's coming off of MS Build now. Okay. So maybe we need to actually get down into that project. Test. So if we say .NET watch test filter, right, fully qualified name equals paste go. Is that gonna work? Hey. Run the test. Let's go. So it's compiling. And I think we're going to be running it. No test matches the test case filter. Okay, hang on. So maybe we need to drop that first test off of this. You think if there was a race condition, someone would have noticed by now. Kind of agree, Smab. Nick Larson, hello, hello. One of the upvotes on that question is definitely yours. Exited. No test matches it. And now we feel shame. Go back over to here. The answer is outdated. Contains. Where's it contains? Take a look at the docs. Test case filter. Fully qualified name, display name, traits. Tilde implies it contains lookup. Okay, so let's do it with tilde. How you doing, Nick? Nick's another member of the Live Coders team. And it's a little known fact. Nick's going to be one of our speakers as part of the .NET, as part of Live Coders Conf coming up April 9th. There we go. Now I got my one test. All right. And you should see that content. That content we're talking about getting published today. We almost had it locked down and sent out yesterday, but we're going to send that out today. All right, so it's running the test. Let's take a look at the test now and see what we might be able to do to make it a little bit more reliable, a little bit more robust. There we go. So this is the test that's running this. And it's particularly looking at the exact order of these to make sure that it is generating them in the order that it was expected. Here's what I'd like to do. I want to put the test count. I want to put that first before it actually starts inspecting and does this detail inspection of these. And I'm not really concerned about it rendering 3 rows. I'm concerned about it doing the auto-generate of the columns is what this test does. So what I'd like to do is delete that. I'm going to yank this one. And I'm going to put it here, get rid of it down there. See if it didn't run my tests. And now I feel shame. In which case, I might as well just call .NET test. And hopefully it doesn't rebuild everything. And it can jump right into running the test. Nope, it reran everything. Oh, no, it's only rebuilding the test project. Okay, that works. You're good, holding it down in isolation. How am I this morning, Nick? We're feeling good. We've got, I've got some coffee. I've got friends out here writing some code with me. I'm feeling all right. I'm doing well. Being a remote worker, I'm used to being a little bit in isolation like this. It's working out. I'm not concerned. We ran out last night. We were able to pick up Panera from the local Panera Bread. get some dinner special for the kids and the wife. No problem there. They had you have to order things you can't sit in and eat. So we placed an order, was able to drive over, and they had bags sitting out on a shelf. Their folks didn't come out from behind the counter, walked up to the shelf, picked up my bag, walked out, and I was the only one in the store. So it worked out well. Eternal Dev Coders enjoying the remote thing. Good. It's good that folks are enjoying it. I hope it doesn't last too long. I want to keep running this and keep inspecting this, and then hopefully we see it pop out with the error at some point. This inspection. How do we get it to run the test over and over again? Does cut.findAll work with a heap or a stack? And that's a question actually for our friend Eagle Hansen I see here in the chat room. The findAll. Can a test be marked as optional? Asks Smab. You're able to do that with XUnit. I don't know if Eagle's bUnit feature, it has that feature here. If that's an attribute we can put up here on our fixture. I'm going to run over to the source code for this. There's the releases. There's the release notes. I don't think it's a problem with the unit test framework. I would, and see, we haven't seen this issue in the actual rendered output at all. Razor-based testing. Creating a new example. Defining test fixtures. Fixture description, setup, test async tests. So the question is there a way to make this optional? Not in Razor-based tests, but you can use bUnit to write regular XUnit tests. Okay. So maybe the way is to just remove the test attribute so that it doesn't actually run the test right now. Thank you for the follow, JazzX. Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. Evan says, first time in about 7 years you've been full-time work from home, and it's taken some getting used to. Have teenagers in the house now. Oh, yes. C17, professionally, I'm a work from homer. Work from homer? Is that a thing? Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is. What do you think? No! Okay, maybe it's not. Personally, you are a homebody, been training for this moment your entire life. That is the one interesting thing for software developers, for tech folks. A lot of us were introverts, right? Maybe had a hard time in school growing up, and stayed home a lot, to be frank, while we were growing up. So to work from home, to spend more time at home in front of our desks, in the comfort of our own homes, not terrible. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible either. Marcus, voice programmer, good to see you. Just to keep more clean air, Genescu has air conditioning. Okay. Hey, Chillaxter. Hello. Going well. We're doing well today. There is a skip option for the XUnit fact attribute. Right, on if we were in XUnit. Yes, I'm not, though. Introverts, put down your tech book. Your extrovert friends are worrying. Well, you know. Stack versus heap interactions. What if... See, since we can't reliably reproduce this, it's kind of weird. If we did a debug...
Wait, let me explain something to you.
If we did a debug write line, right? If we did a try on this, and if it was an error, did a debug write line and output the HTML. I know. Words. If we did a debug write line, maybe we can actually be able to inspect and catch this next time it actually happens. Maybe. No, I opened the wrong line. So let's see. If we do... What if we do this? How's it going there, chat room? Thank you so much for the follow. DTO! I thought you followed yesterday. But thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you back again. Kate says, if find all works on a heap, then it could find each instance of what it's looking for, but not guaranteed return them in the order they appear. Right, and that's why I'm thinking, to kind of head that off, Kate, that's why I'm thinking, if we do get the exception thrown, we'll rethrow it, but let's output to the console the HTML. Right? There might be something there that we can debug and find, right? So I'm just going to put a try catch around this, and I'll do a debug right line HTML rendered, so we can take a look at what it actually is. And I'll add on to this cut dot markup. Right, I can do that. Right, isn't that how that works? And throw. So that we still get the error. We still get the exception thrown. But if it hits that silliness, we'll hopefully find it. Is it debug? Is it cut dot markup? Is that the way it works? No. Or is it just cut markup? I think it was like that. I can't remember. Let's see if we can find it. Just output if the value isn't ID. Yes, no. What do we have here? What did I do? Debug does not exist in the current context. You make me sad. Alright, go over here. We don't have debug, so let me go to the beginning. System diagnostics. One more time. What's the context? Hey, DTO. For some reason, this doesn't always return the columns in the same order. And we're trying to get it to trigger and fire and show us when this error happens, output the markup. Show me exactly what happens. And just to make sure that it does happen, that we do get it output, let me just write that here so that we do get the output. And we can verify that it does properly write the HTML markup. Just to make sure. Just to make sure. So that we're able to inspect it later. Here it comes. And... That wasn't what I expected. What if we need... Am I missing that? Maybe I'm missing the development set. No, I'm not a squirrel anymore, Opti21. I do have the redemption if you want me to sound like one. It's still not outputting it. There was a way that we did this. I don't want... Let's kind of force the issue. There are channel points that you can redeem. They're just here below me. You can make me sound like we can change my voice to whatever you'd like. There's a couple different things in there. There we go. Now I've got the output so that we can actually inspect. And if we look at the headers here, there we go. T-head, ID, name, price, last update, empty widget list, simple widget list. Interesting. Why does it return those? That might not be a thing there. Let me see, I've got a message here. Okay. Alright. The columns are rendered one at a time, perhaps in reverse order, but when the last one is rendered, the order is right. Yeah. let me just change this to a console write line to kind of force the issue here. So that when we do get it, we can properly run the test and get it to fire. Or maybe, because we're only running one at a time, this one, right, and we're trying to force this one, maybe we're not getting it. Right, because maybe like some of the others are suggesting, it's, there we go. It's some sort of a race condition that's happening with Blazor, right? So I've got all 152 rendered properly there. Run this again, see if we can... Because it was happening pretty reliably on this machine, the virtual machine that I'm running in, and I don't see it here. You need to watch more, Opti21. Everybody needs to watch more. Just tune in all the time. I'm here. Listen to the fine dulcet tones of my voice, and we'll write some code together. To make sure it works, change the ID to something else, suggests Smab. Fair enough. There it was. There it was, friends. It just happened. What did it do? Son of a gun!
Oh my.
Do you see that? Look. It should be ID, name, price, last update, empty widget list, simple widget list. But it just flipped the first two. Okay, so we learned something. What did we learn?
Wait, let me explain something to you.
It's just the first two. It put in the wrong order. Okay. This is a very interesting problem because it clearly is doing a for across the entire collection of columns that it's trying to generate here, but it feels like there's some sort of a race. Now, I don't think Scott's going to be on. Kasukin is here. Hello. He's another member of the Live Coders team. Good to see you. The collection is being instantiated when the first one is being added. Is it awaiting? These are good questions there, friends. Let's walk up the stack. I'm not going to change this here so we can see that log. I want to be over here. I'm just going to squish that, push that over so we can take a look. I'm going to go to the actual component so we can take a look at how it's doing that for loop. I went up too far. I want to be down in the source. I want to be in the components. And it's like here it is, grid view column generator. Generate columns based on an item type. So it gets the properties of it, does a for each on it, and just adds new bound fields to that collection. That should be in the proper order. That should be synchronous, yes. Curious Drive asks, what's the Scott story? Let me put that question up so we can pick this out later. I work for Microsoft. The joke with Microsoft and the joke with Microsoft and the folks that work on .NET is everybody who works in leadership of .NET and developer tools is named Scott. That's the joke, because the guy who gives the keynote wears a red shirt. Executive Vice President. He was the first program manager for ASP.NET, the web framework for .NET. That's Scott Guthrie. You'll see him in the news when Microsoft makes announcements about Azure. They'll go to Scott Guthrie for comment. Brilliant guy. I'm thrilled to be able to say that I work for him through several layers of managers. And when you look at the layer of, I think there's 5 supervisors between me and him. 2 of them are named Scott. Whenever you see new announcements about .NET, the gentleman who is the director of program managers for .NET, that's Scott Hunter. We've had him on the stream here a couple times. I report to the Scott who reports for Scott Hunter. See, do you see where this is going? And that's Scott Hanselman, who makes the joke about the lesser Scotts, because they're not great Scott. See, now you hear the sound clip. The executive vice president is Great Scott, and they are the lesser Scotts. So there's lots of Scotts. So I went and I grabbed a bunch of Scott movie quotes, and I made them sound effects that you, the chat room, can fire whenever we've got a question for a Scott. I don't know which Scott will answer it, but somebody named Scott needs to hear. So there you go. There's a little bit Curious Drive about why we do Scotts. Why we have Scotts everywhere. Eagle says it will add all of the columns before it returns. It sure looks like it. It sure does look like it there. Irandos says recursive Scotts. Kate suggests the getProperties method does not return properties in a particular order, such as alphabetical or declarative order. My code must not depend on the order in which properties are returned, because that order could vary. You got a good point there. Frankus asks a question here, and I appreciate the question highlight. Is there any scenario where you would value execution speed over readability? When we're talking about a web application, I think we're always concerned about execution speed for a web application, because that performance of an application, particularly on the web, studies have shown quite literally is money. When you take longer than a third of a second to deliver a web page, folks wander away. Folks stop watching. So folks stop paying attention. Right? This is taking too long. Site must be broken. I'm going to go somewhere else. So that's the concern around performance with web development. For what we're doing here, I'm not as it's kind of a catch-22 for me, to be frank. See what I did there? To be frank. The goal of this project is to get folks into Blazor. At that point, performance is going to just naturally be better because they're on .NET Core compared to .NET Framework and running on web forms, which is, by performance tests, significantly slower, by like an order of magnitude slower than .NET Core. So there's already a performance bump that we're getting. Kate has a link for us. Type get properties does not guarantee order. I understand that. And that's kind of why I linked the documentation earlier. Returns all public properties, returns public properties, an array of property info objects. So this is why I think there might be a sort going on that's putting these. I am Solo. Welcome in. Is that Han Solo or Ben Solo? Which Solo are you? Welcome in. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. This is why we're getting it out of order sometimes. Could be. But it's right here. Get properties does not return properties in a particular order. And your code must not depend on that order. Right there. So the question is, how does .NET Framework always get this in the same order? right? We are not depending on that order. Our test is depending on that order. Which then begs the question, do we rewrite the test to make sure that, if we make it an I-typed list, the rendering doesn't depend on the order. Certainly when somebody uses this feature, they're going to want the fields to appear in the same order every time, and that they don't all of a sudden jump order when you're delivering. Smab, can you give me some details on what you're thinking about there? If we make it an I-typed list, the test and the test data depends on each other. So if we change the test data, what if we just change the test to say, well, it outputted all of the columns and not necessarily in the right order, just that the column appeared? That will make the test pass. Do I like Stack Overflow links here? Opti21, all links are welcome here. We actually have a bot that will inspect every link and tell us what the link is, so that folks don't just automatically click them. They can see what the link is before they jump through. That is also fine, depends on what the test needs to test. Yeah, the test, we're trying to recreate the same functionality where the columns are output in the same order. The typed list that might behave better, but how do we get that typed list? Get properties in order of declaration. Opti21 has this Stack Overflow. Let's see, what do we have here? Get properties ordered by metadata token. Is the current implementation. We have some answers here. Attribute usage. You can do much better with reflection using this trick called caller line number, letting compiler insert order into your properties for you. Well, we don't want folks shouldn't have to put this order in it in order to get that. Order by, if you're going the attribute route, right, if we put an attribute on it, kind of throws it out the window. Metadata token is unique inside one module. There's nothing saying that it guarantees any order, even if it did behave the same way. You would want it to be implementation specific and could change any time without notice. What I have tested, sorting by metadata token works. Some of the users here claim that this somehow is not reliable, but I haven't yet seen any evidence of this. What do we think here? So you need a way to verify that the order is expected. Why not just add an order by to your test data? It's not. Aaron Doss says, I swear I lived by Stack Overflow in college. Amen. Yes, there's definitely something there. Type hierarchy. This type, okay. Yield return new tuple. CT base type. CT is the type. Interesting. Property info compare. So it wrote its own comparer. Wow, look at that. What is RLP attribute? I don't see. Oh, they added their own attribute, of course. To get exact index, you could use something like this. See, and they're relying on an attribute to fire this. Use system component models, display attribute, yeah, and go use the order that's declared there. Hey, TBD Gamer, good morning. They're another member of the Live Coders team. Good to see you. You might want to just create a regular unit test that gets the properties code, should not be Blazor specific. Might make it easier to test. I like this order by metadata token. Part of me wants to try that and see if it helps here. There's right, so it's just doing type get properties to get this. So what if we add on? So I think if we do these as well, it's going to help force to make sure that we only get right, because if you look at what was output, let me show you over here. It's actually outputting these static entries that we don't need. We only want coming out the instance properties for our grid, because we're not outputting these static things here. So maybe if we do this and insert those property flags, we can slim down that list a little bit, and let's put that order by on here just to see if maybe this helps. Maybe it helps, right? I can't make it worse. X.metadata token. X.metadata token. Right, maybe we can get that to work a little bit better. I don't know. But we've clearly identified here that it's not quite working, right? And it's clearly outputting in the wrong order. Now I expect it to come back. Binding flags does not exist. Binding flags comes out of what? It's in system reflection, isn't it? I don't have a using for system reflection here. So let's put that in. Using system.reflection. It's amazing how much more comfortable I am in using the keystrokes to navigate around. Property info does not contain a definition for order by. I need system link now in order to be able to do those types of things, don't I? That should be up higher. I like my order bys in order. I probably do not want non-public. Well, I'm getting... We'll take a look. We'll take a look. Okay, so I got the wrong number popping out here, which I kind of expected, but... Alright, let me take a look back at... Yeah, let's get rid of the non-public. That's... You're right. You're right. We probably just want the instance public properties here. So let's write that back out. Jump back over to the test. Right? So my test is up here. It's under grid view, auto-generate columns. And, right, we've only got 4 columns now because I got rid of these statics. So this, that should be 4. Run the test. Here we go. I'm feeling good about this one, buddies. Friends, viewers, pair programmers, we've got this. What? That's not the test. That's an empty data text. That's a different test. And actually, hang on, before I go over there. I didn't change this description. Let's change that. Write that out. And I do see your question there from Opti21 asking, have I always used Vim? No, I used VI. Yeah. When I was in college, I had that comp sci class where they're like, okay, you're gonna get an account on this Unix system, and it's running AIX, and you shouldn't mess around with this. You're going to be using these tools. You can choose VI or Emacs, blah blah blah. And the professor was very set in his ways and kind of threw us to the wolves and said, now here's You can find your way, you can find instructions, run the man page, and you can learn how to use VI or Emacs, and off we went. And I went, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. My father, tremendous developer, tremendous technologist on his own right, was a long time, spent 25, 30 years as a Unix administrator. And I said, Dad, which one of these is better, VI or Emacs? Which one should I use? And he said, use VI. Didn't even think about it, use VI. And he said, I'm going to send you something. And he had a cheat sheet, a reference card that IBM had given him that he scanned in at work and sent me. And I printed out at college. And I kept that near my desk. And I learned a lot of the hotkeys for VI because my father sent me this image of the IBM VI editor reference card. And I kept it there, and it was kind of passed down to me that, well, we use VI here. So Opti21, I can say that as long as I've used editors in Unix, in Linux, I've been a VI person. And that's okay. Whether you use VI, Emacs, if you like Pico, you like Nano, whatever makes you productive. I'm used to VI. So, oh, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I think you need grid view column generator test file for tests that test a bunch of different scenarios for the method there. I think you're right, Eagle. Different data classes with different types of private protected properties and orders. I think you're right. That's definitely something that we can build here to add more tests. This looks like it's working. I'm able to get this working reliably right now. I'd like to push it over to Azure DevOps and see if we still continue to get the right thing output here. So let's commit this. Simplified the generation of columns for the grid view to only include instance public properties. Yeah, there we go. I think that's good enough. Yep. Push that out. And I'm going to jump back over here and we'll see Azure DevOps kick this off again as it arrives. Here it comes. There it is right there. I have added a filter and an order by to the generate template. What was it called? What's the object there that we're using? What was the object we updated? No, not That's a bad idea. Don't do that. What was the name of that? It was like template field generator. Grid view column generator. Grid view column generator class. And this might solve the problem. I should reference that commit. Did you know you can reference commits from the markup? Let me show you here. Let me go over to this, to my branch that I pushed up into, the feature branch that I'm working on. And if I take a look at the commits, I can actually reference, here it is, right there. Right? Check this out. Back to the pull requests, right? And I go into here, and I can click edit on this. C commit, and I believe it's hash? No. At? No. I thought there was a way that you can, yeah, there it is. So now, because I pasted in that hash, you can jump right through to that commit. That's so cool. That's so cool. There is a copy to clipboard button. Just started using Vim because the Primogen convinced several of us, says Opti21. Love the Primogen. And if the Live Coders Conf on April 9th goes well, he's first on the list of folks that we're going to have, that we're going to invite to Live Coders Conf 2. Maybe later this spring. Like I said. Later this spring, early summer. I'm saying that as a Northern Hemisphere person. Maybe May, June. June. We'll do Live Coders Conf 2. I have something for May that's going to be tremendous. I think everybody's going to have so much fun with this. VI Vim is quite awesome when you learn the shortcuts. Yes, a full-featured IDE is preferable. I have learned, Eagle, that's a great comment. I have learned to appreciate all those features that are in Visual Studio, that are in the IDE, that we don't have when we're a text editor. As things start to get more complicated here, finding references and routing between files gets really hard to do. And I think it's been tremendous to be able to do. Just checked and found your Emacs cheat sheet on the Multics OS from 1984, says Smab. Woo! I'm pretty sure it solves the test issues. The order by now ensures the order will always be the same. Yes, I think you're right. So, DTO says, like to have a text editor and an IDE if necessary. To each their own. Sure. Oops. All right. I think we can back out of this and we can jump over to some of the other things we wanted to work on. But let's see. Did that test run? Look at that. Ha ha! All our tests ran successfully. Thank you. Chat room, please. I appreciate the applause, but it's entirely unnecessary. Okay? We made this work just fine. All right. Have I looked at the COC plugins for VI? What do you mean COC? The Code of Conduct plugins? No. Nerd Tree is great for navigating files. Yes. I feel like there's more I need to learn and I can do with Nerd Tree to navigate around there and be a little bit more productive. See that? Look at that. Opti21 is applauding there in the chat room. Look at that. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this. Let's get back over to our command button that we were working on. We started bubbling up events as they happen. I'm going to back out of here over to my scripts and run my watch test. So it's running and watching my tests here. Thank you. While that's going on, let's see. I'm going to rename this. I'll call this dev, and I'm going to create a new window. There we go. And I'll rename this. Is there a way to persist your tmux window and pane settings so that they're always available? I feel like that's something that I would love to set up. I'm going to go into samples, after Blazor, server side, .NET, not .sweat, .NET watch run, so we're running our samples. We can always get into our integration samples and take a look. And I'll keep the top half of the window here so that I can jump in and tune and write some samples here. COC Vim, Conquer of Completion, adds a bunch of completion, some plugins that make use of the language server protocol. Ooh, okay, that sounds interesting. DTO says, Jeffrey Way has a pretty good course on Vim and explains things pretty well if you're getting started with it. I'm not sure if Laracasts has a free trial, but in your opinion, it's an easy way to get $10 worth of value from. Nice. That's cool. You set them at the command line in alias. I don't know. All right. Let's jump back. Hey. There we go. All right, so I'm on this window. And we were working on trying to figure out the bubbling of events here. See what we can do to make that work better. Right? So that we have a button that triggers and sends a notification to any component that's listening for it, so that it can do something with that. With the goal here of having our form view be able to hear the command that says insert and turns into add mode, changes the view into add mode. I think that's something that we should be able to get to pretty quickly here. Pretty quickly? We should be able to get working. But I liked Eagle's suggestion there that we create a couple issues to add some tests around generating the field values here. And friends, I'm going to start seeing these use cases pop up here that are being suggested, and I want to encourage you out there, if you have a web forms application, ASP.NET Web Forms, and maybe there's some sample code on a page that you can share that uses some of the controls that ship with ASP.NET Web Forms, and you'd like to see it work when you migrate to Blazor, head over here to the issues list, create a new use case, okay? And share that source code that you can. Remove the business logic. We don't need to see your business logic, but if you can show us a little bit about how you're using the components, you can help steer us in the right direction to build more components, to add the features, maybe even help us write some unit tests to verify that your use case is being met and we can get you active and over on Blazor sooner than later. Eagle uses both as well, a text editor and an IDE, preferring text editors like Notepad++ or Visual Studio Code. It's great for small, quick projects, proof of concept. I like using Visual Studio Code for editing Markdown because I get that preview view in Visual Studio Markdown. It's a pretty big thing for us. Let's add a blank issue here. Need more unit tests for grid view generated columns. It would be great to have unit tests to verify the generated columns handle. What are some of the things that we need to make sure? Try the Markdown add-on from Mads Christensen. Yes. Mads is a good friend. I've tried it. I like it. But there's a little bit to be said about the low impact, no ceremony of just writing content, writing Markdown in Visual Studio Code, because it gets me out of looking at all the other things, all the other distractions that are in full Visual Studio. It's not a bad thing. It helps me get focused a little bit. DTO counts VS Code in the IDE category after a certain amount of extensions. You're not wrong. When you take a text editor and you start adding in dozens of extensions so that you can have all these cool features, it does become an integrated development environment. IDE, that's what that stands for. So the goal of having a text editor that starts quickly and you can get in and get productive with quickly is lost when you start adding dozens and dozens of extensions into it, right? Then you're sitting there, you tell it to run, and Bueller. It just takes too long to start. So what were some of the things here, Eagle, that you were saying, you know what, we need some tests here to fix this? Test for a bunch of different scenarios, different data classes, different types of so add tests for different data classes to ensure reflection is properly used. Add tests for classes with different mixes of public, private, and static properties. Static properties and fields. Maybe fields should work also. I don't want a capital there. Thank you. Got to scoot. Have a good one, Lee. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's see. Check the order. Well, let's start with those. And I'm gonna put on this. This is an enhancement. It's a good first issue if anybody wants to jump in, take a look, write some of their first unit tests using the test framework. There's some sample tests there that you can certainly grab and continue. It's very easy to see where the tests are. There's a nice contributing doc here that explains the folder hierarchy that we have in the project, so that you can jump through and figure out how to get started with this. There you go. And you can see how we want our project structured so you can contribute. And of course, if you send a pull request and we accept it, we'll put your name up top on the crawl up there so that everybody sees that you helped contribute to the project we're working on here on stream. Many studies that show we as developers spend more than 80% of our time, average of 80% of our time, reading code, not writing code. You want to optimize your reading experience. Amen to that. Amen. And the navigation benefits an IDE provides are definitely something to look forward to. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So we have that working. There's our compile. It's over on Azure DevOps, and I'm feeling good about that. Next thing here, let's talk about having a button trigger, right? That let's have a button fire a command that is heard by the parent component and does something with it. I think that's something we can build here, build a test around that to make sure that works. And then we can hopefully get that next piece where the FormView listens for the command to fire. I think that'll work. I think that'll work and get us there as we step into this, because this communication between components is certainly a little bit tricky. Certainly a little bit tricky. Let's see what we can find. Let's see what we can do here. So if I were to build a unit test to show this, right? So let's just start Vim, and how do you create a new file in Vim? Let's do this. Go into source, BlazorWebFormsComponents, the test project. I'm going to go under button, and let's call this test BubbleEvent.Razor. And we should be able to see that event bubble up and do something with it. Right? Hopefully. Yeah. Okay. I want to copy from a list view how that works. A list view test. So let me open this. I'm going to go down into source, into test. I'm going to go down into list view because I want to put a button on a list view, because that should be able to hear something. Let me particularly grab the layout here. We're going to go from 3 through 20, so I'm going to yank, let's see, let's call it 18 lines, right? I'm going to go back over here, go to the button, bubble event, and put that. No! Put that. Oh, there we go. That's not going to work. It's not going to do anything yet. I'm missing, I know I'm missing a using statement at the top. Yep, there it is. Let me yank that line. Go back over to bubble event. Put that right up at the top. All right. And we need our code, right? Void first tests. So now we have a test. And you can be right up against that. I think that's all right, right? Write that out and run the test. It's not running the test. Run my new test. It shouldn't do anything. It should come back 153 out of 153. Right? Because we just added a test, it was 152, so we should see it come back properly, right? Right? I think that's right. I think it's right. There we go. Okay. So now let's make it fail, so that we know that it fails. One, right? We can say 1 dot should be 2. Right, that should fail. Just to make sure that it is properly running this test, and it does fail appropriately when something is stupid, when something doesn't work. There we go. Good. But that's not what we're actually testing. Let's actually do this. So instead of putting a header here, let's put a button. So we will put a button, and let's put a command name on that. We'll make the command name foo. Command argument. Let's make a bar. Right, we can do that. And we can put on command equals do we need an on command? We might not. Right? We might not. I think we're going to be all right with that. Write that file. It's still not going to work. That's okay. I forget how to get the component under test. Oh, get component under. Thanks, Jeff. Get component under test is what we're going to fire. There we go. Thanks. I appreciate you failing there. So we're going to say down here on line 26. There we go. Right. var cut equals get component under test. Right. And now I want to find that button and click it. So how do I find the button and click it? This is something I haven't done yet with the Blazor framework, the Blazor test framework. So I'm going to go back over to the instructions. Here we go. Documentation. And I'm going to go into Razor-based testing. Razor test examples. Yes. Let's see if we can find a click. Nope, no click. All right. Get component under test. And we can specify what type of component it is. Set parameters and render. I'm not setting parameters. What do we do? What do we got over here? Razor test examples. Is there something here? Right, because I want to be able to click something and have it do something. Thank you for the follow. Is that Sindhusha? Welcome in. I hope I pronounced your name right. Let me know. I don't want to have a mock JavaScript runtime. Thank you for the follow, Zam321. I can use cut find to the thing you want to click CSS collector selector dot click. That's easy. Why would you make it so easy? Don't do that. Don't make it so easy. I want to wire up that event listener so that I can listen for when that click happened and do something with it. Sorry, I made it so easy for you, Jeff. Wah. Gosh, we don't want to make things easy for people to use.
Make it so.
No. Hey, New Duck is back. Good to see you. Welcome back in. Right, I want to get the actual object, the actual component. Right? Didn't we see that's like get component under test.instance or something like that? If I want to get the list view. Where's the old duck? Right? Right, if I do... Isn't it something like that? Right, didn't we see that last time? List view equals this. I thought that was it. Third time someone said... let's see. Oops. Where was it? We wrote another test that did this. Right? No. Was it this one? Find button, click. Just that's one way that we did it there. Right, I want to get that list view back. I could put a ref on it and get it. That's not too bad to do. Right, if I do this, not var list view. Bad idea, Jeff. List view, this is going to be of type widget dot simple widget list. This is a problem that we're going to need to figure out. And let me come back to that because, oh boy. My list view. And if I go up here, put a carriage return, and then we can put @ref equals my list view. So now I don't need this, right? But I can say cut dot find button click. Now that should do something. Is it the right thing? I don't know. Speaking Vim. Mnemonics of speaking Vim. Really? I didn't know that was a thing. No. The type name simple widget list does not exist in the widget. Oh, whoops. It's not widget simple widget list. It's just widget. Let's see. Get that. There we go. It built. Test should run properly because we're not actually asserting anything yet. Now we need to inspect and see, did this event fire? Do we have access to that event? Let's start with. So let's see if we can go back to the event, right? Let me see, down here, right? In here. It's on something. No, I forget the name of the event handler. I'm just gonna page down and look for it then. Punk. There's find control on BubbledEvent. I could make this internal so that I can hook it for the purpose of the test. Don't like the feel of that. Hey, Death Packs, hello, welcome in. Is that Ivnen says, gotta say working from home on a SAS.NET framework and watching me code here is awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in, Ivnen. Yeah, we try and code here together 5 days a week, and we're a little bit earlier than normal. Here, I usually like to start coding at about 10 a.m. Eastern, 1400 UTC. And if I add 8, what is it, like 6 p.m. in Australia? I probably have that time zone wrong. Let me see here. So, yeah, I want to be able to hook this. I want to be able to inspect this. That, oh yeah, this event fired. Inspect it. Take a look and see what happened. Is it a protected event or do we make it an internal? Eagle suggesting create a test razor component that inherits and exposes these. Purposely adds that extra layer. But I don't want it to ship in the release. In the UK, it's 1:40 p.m. Ah, yeah, but in Australia, it's It's like really late. And I don't quite know. Right, if I add that test razor, put the component in the put the component in the test project to do that. Yes. Oh, of course. Why didn't I think of that? And I'll have to listen for the bubbled event and do something from it. We should be able to do that. Ooh, this is going to get interesting. All right. All right. So instead of having that with a list view, right? We're actually going to change this so it's not a list view. It's a simple test component. I like the way this is going, but it's adding a layer of complexity to this that I wasn't expecting. That's okay. And actually, this isn't really a button test, is it? It's more of a base web forms component test. Was it BubbledEvent? Yeah. Let me move this over to the base. Because we're really testing that that thing is bubbling properly and raising the event that we expect. So let me go over there. And let's make a, let's call this test bubble component dot razor. Yeah, that'll work. All right. So we're going to inherit from base from Blazor Web Forms component dot base web forms component. Okay. We're gonna need some code here. Let's create we need a parameter that we can put a render component into, render fragment. No, we don't need a render fragment. We can just render appropriately here. So we don't need that. Okay. We do need to handle the event because the event's going to be raised. So let's do this. Let's put a button out here, right? And yeah, let's put on, not on command. Command name equals, here we'll do foo. Command argument equals bar, right? It doesn't matter what these are. Text equals test button. Okay. So now I have a button, and we're just outputting the button. We want to check to make sure that that on bubble event runs properly. So let's, you know what? Let's put some text here. Put a span that we can drop some text into, and we can inspect. Oh, we could just create a public property called event raised. That's not a bad idea. So public int now let's not make it an int. Let's get interesting. Dictionary string int event raised equals new dictionary string int. So we can inspect this event name was raised and how many times. Look at that. That's using the old noodle. All right. Override. Oh boy, this is going to be. It's void on initialize. And we're going to take the on bubble event No, it's... Ooh, what's the name of it? What was the name of the event? What's the... I can't remember. See, this is how old I am. I can't remember these things. Base web forms component. Right? We're going to handle BubbledEvent and trigger appropriately. Okay. We can do that. We're going to go here. Where's... Here. There. No. BubbledEvent. BubbledEvent. Base.BubbledEvent. Right, and we're gonna receive... We're receiving two things here, an object and some args. And I'm gonna do this anonymously. Right? Something like that. That should work. Do you want to maintain a record of when it was raised? Don't know. Good question. Don't know. Let's just get this working. Oh my gosh. Let's, there's a, before I go through and finish wiring up things here, this looks like it's running the test properly here, isn't it? Right? Isn't it? Let me just kick that off again, make sure that it's running the test and sees all the files. There's a question here from, where'd it go? Is that on aside V or on aside 5 asks, when should I use ADO.NET or Entity Framework? That's up to you. There's different things that are happening there that may cause you to choose one or the other. Entity Framework you want to use if you have a tremendous object model already built, and you want to be able to hydrate that, you want to be able to populate things appropriately and load things into it. You can use Entity Framework and it'll work great for you. Some folks look at a very complex object model and they don't want to use Entity Framework. They want to simplify things and just go fetch data from the database and hydrate one or two objects, a very small subset of a very large object model that may reside in a database. In that case, I would lean towards ADO.NET. The answer is depends. When you're using, when you have a very small object model, a handful of objects, a dozen objects, I think about the typical shopping cart demos. Definitely use Entity Framework. It's going to help you get around there faster, quicker, easier without writing database code. But when you do have a very large ecosystem in your database, you can generate all your Entity Framework objects to work with it. But I think there's a level of complexity in synchronicity where you have to synchronize your Entity Framework objects with the database. When you have a very large database, you're going to see a lot of churn on both sides. As you make your Entity Framework objects, you're going to need to update the database. As you update the database, you're going to have to synchronize and rebuild your Entity Framework objects. ADO, in my humble opinion, removes and keeps some of that abstraction hidden behind magic strings that happen, those strings that you're going to embed in your code that are the select star, the create statements that you're going to write into your code, the inserts, the updates, the deletes. You can use Dapper. That is a lightweight ORM that works great. From some of our friends at Stack Overflow wrote that. Definitely helps with that kind of thing. Yes, ADO.NET is very low level. You're going to have to write every little bit of database interaction code. And that might be okay for some people. There is nothing wrong with that. You're right, I forgot the protected statement here. Now it should run that. Compile. It's not running anything yet. Wrong. No suitable methods found to override. What? Is it on initialize or on initialized? Am I missing a D there? Is that what I hate feeling like this. I wish I got a little bit of completion there. Component base does not contain a definition for bubbled event. I'm not inheriting from component base. Component base. Maybe because I don't need it to be base? Right? Can I do that? Because it's not coming out of that. It should be coming out of base web forms component. No. Bubbled event does not exist in the current context. You're welcome. And let me make sure. Is it on a side? Is it on a side V? Help me out. I want to make sure I pronounce your name properly there in the chat room. But you're very welcome. Best of luck. And those types of architecture discussions really become a depends type of answer, and we can give you some of the feedback of why we would decide one or the other. Marcus, voice programmer, you're absolutely right. Life without squigglies. Yeah. On a C dev? Is that... Let me know. I want to, like I said, out of respect for folks in the chat room, I want to make sure I pronounce your names properly as I answer your question. On a C dev. Okay. All right. Very good. I'll remember that for the future. File that away in the old noodle. So why can't it find my bubbled event? Right? We just added this. Base web forms component. It's over here, right? Bubbled event, protected event, bubbled event. Bubbled event, not that one. Bubbled event right there. All right. Why doesn't it see that? It does not exist in the current context. Well, we're inheriting properly, right? Why not subscribe in the components constructor? Doesn't matter. I mean, it's not seeing the event at all right now, looking at the error report. Why can't it see the event? It's protected, so it should appear, right? I mean, what if I just make this... I mean, that feels weird to do, but... Does changing the scope... It shouldn't affect it. Well, and then we'll find out. The tests will run. That's what and then. Oh, and then you. No, still doesn't exist in the current... Why doesn't it? Why doesn't that exist? Base web forms component. It's an abstract class. This should be a thing. We should be able to see this. Nah, it's not a using. I don't think it's a using. If it was a using, we would have gotten tripped up. We would have gotten tripped up on referencing the component. Oh no. Now what did I do? Oh no. Oh no! Don't do this to me. Up one more. Here we go. Now we can look at them. Yeah, that's where I wanted to be. So, it... And when I said base... Base web forms component. Right, I'm not missing any other error over here, right? No. Test bubble component does not exist in the current context. Okay. Because, right, I mean, the thing to do here is we want to be able to say event raise.add, right, args.command name. And it's going to be, right, event raised args. Right? Yes. Hello. Line 1 is wrong. How is line 1 wrong? It's inherits. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Let's not write that just yet. Hang on. Let's go to the beginning of this line. Insert. Comment that out for right now. Now run it. Is it did I miss? It's just the typer namespace name BlazorWebFormsComponent could not be found. Really? What do you mean, Blazor Web Forms component? Is it, there's an S on the end of that. Once again, nouns and things that I'm missing. Unexpected character $sign on line 3. Where do you see? Oh. Do that again. Get this compiling. Come on. We're waiting. There we go. Now it's running the test. And the test should come back and, yeah. Because it's not actually doing anything yet. All right. So now... Oh. Right, I know there's a way to do this with just one line here, but I'm not going to figure that out. Var count equals event raised dot contains args dot command name. If it does contain it, then we're going to start with 0. Otherwise, we're going to set the value to event raised args. No. Args dot command name. That's it. Okay, so now we've got the initial count. Right. So now we can say event raised args dot command name equals count plus 1. Right? That should work. Right? Should compile, should run? No. What line did I miss that S? Line 13. Oh, rats. Man, see, this is where IntelliSense saves my bacon. Right? Bacon. I love bacon. Could use some bacon. Hey, Gareth, good to see you. Better error messages from Razor. Command name accepting a first argument of type event args could not be found. Ah. Those args need to be command event args. Okay. We need to make sure that they are the event arguments that we're expecting. Right? Command event args right there. Okay. So let's do this. Equals command event args. So then we can change this to How do I do this? There's a way to do that with a replace. I just can't figure it out right now. Nope, went too far. Okay, that, and that should work. That should work. Now checking on that command and finding the command name. Ooh, memory extensions contains requires a receiver of type read-only span. Huh? Oh, am I missing? I'm missing a using system.link, aren't I? Can OmniSharp run with Vim? It can, but it doesn't handle Razor files. System.link. Run that again. No. Memory extensions contains requires a receiver of type. Why didn't the using system.link pick that up? Or is it a system link expression? It is. It's kind of annoying. You can hear my keyboard a lot louder. Nah. I haven't done anything to it. No, it's not picking it up. Yeah, Zam, this is Vim that I'm using here on the left side. And we need to wrap up. I need to head out here for the MVP event. Right, using system.link should bring in and give me the contains. Oh, is it contain? It's contains key. That's the method we're looking for. There it goes. Okay, so now we have our test component that we can test against that actually does the thing, so we can inspect and take a look at all the doodads and process and make sure that it's actually doing the thing this time. Right?
It's illegal in 9 countries.
No, we're going to get this working just right. Okay. All right, so now let me go back up to the test. So I'm going to go into the BubbleEvent, and instead of testing with a list view and some other things, I'm actually going to put this component, click the button, and inspect the event raised and see if it actually is populated with things. So we're going to put a test, right, instead of all these other things here. That's from line 7 to 19, so that's, let's delete those lines. And we will call this test bubble component. And let's get a reference to this, and let's call this test component. And we don't actually have to have anything inside of this, right? And let's create, right, test bubble component called test component. Forgot the semi, there we go. Get the component under test, click the button, and what I should be able to do after that is say test component dot event raised, let's just say dot count. There should be an entry in there at that point. Should be an entry in there because we click the button, it should raise the event, fire the thing, and test component see, look at that. Look at that. There's another place where IntelliSense helps. Don't need the ref. All right, we can clean that up in a second. All right, didn't find it, and I know why I didn't find it, because we're not bubbling the event yet. Curious Drive says, sad the MVP event is private. So that's the thing. And right, MVP is an exclusive award. It's something that is given by Microsoft to people that are the the lead influencers, the lead folks that are making a difference in our technical communities. That's great if you're doing a lot for your company, but this is for the technical communities, helping everybody get better through books, training materials, videos, blah blah blah. We had somebody apply and say, "Hey, I teach a lot of folks at my company how to use .NET." That's your job. Great. So MVP Summit is a chance to get feedback, to tell Microsoft that, hey, you're doing stuff right or you're doing stuff wrong. So let me get rid of the @ref. No. Get rid of that. Don't need this. And I can just say get component under test and specify right there. Test bubble component. So then I can find that and I can change this back to, go to here. Right, I can say that. And it should still run. It should still compile and do the thing here, right? No. Does not contain a definition for event raised. It didn't give me... oh, cut.instance. Now we should get it. Now, it's still not going to pass the test because we're not raising the event properly from the base web forms component or from the command to go through. Good. Should be one element in there, 0, so it didn't add anything in yet. We should actually make sure that that's doing that properly. Right? That event triggers properly. That method triggers properly. Let's just add something here just to put something into it to make sure that it does something. I can't fire the event. I can't fire... No, I could fire the event remotely, couldn't I? Right? I could go down to the end here and fire on BubbledEvent null new command event args test. And it should wire that up and put a thing in the thing. Put a thing in the thing? Sure, that works. Running the test. Do. Woo! I done broke the thing. The given key test was not present in the dictionary. Yeah, I know. And that is line 23. That's not. There is no line 23. Line 23 is down here. Try that again. Line 16. Here. If it doesn't contain the key, I have my logic backwards there. That would have been a pain in the neck to figure out. Try that one more time over here. See if we can get that to process properly, right? There we go. Okay. So it's passing only because I added this event here to just kind of force a thing to happen. But I haven't, no. I haven't actually put the command through so that it does the thing, right? So let me write that back out. This should fail this one test. There we go. All right. And I'm going to go back over here to my button component. Right. So on command invoke async right there. Say it. Oh, I hate these stupid control M's. Isn't there a command to find and replace in Vim quickly? Just say find everything and get rid of it. Eagle, drop me a tweet after this. We need to fix that. Drop me a PM, drop me a direct message after this. Right, I want to do Vim find and replace. I just want to do a global find and replace and get rid of, right? Search replace and do the thing. Percentage as search word replace word. All right, let's do that. Right. So here we go. So we're gonna look for carriage M, and I just want to remove it. Can I just do this like that? No. What do you mean pattern not found? It's there. All right. You know what? I'm not going to waste my time on that right now. So when on command happens, I want to bubble that up. Okay. What if... Right. Let's put a second one of those, and let's say var args equals, and we'll just start yanking these. Get rid of that. No. You're going to be difficult about this, aren't you? Still difficult about this. Fine. Be that way. Get rid of that. There we go. Okay, on command invoke async, and instead of all of this goo in here, args. Okay. And after it invokes and triggers the command, we want to say, right, on BubbledEvent, this args. That should totally work now. That should totally work now. Come on, unit tests. Come on. You can do it. No. Look, on command has delegate. We don't have anything wired up to the on command to do. So in our unit test, so let's put a thing in there. There we go. And actually, we don't have anything specified for the command. Command name. Oh no. Wait a sec. It's not there. It's no, not there either. I didn't want you to do that. No! Too many keystrokes. Okay. Back over here. Here. Okay, so I've got command name, command argument. I didn't add an on command. Right? And what I'm going to do is just I'm going to do nothing. I don't care what happens when you fire that go. Quality Coder, hey there. Thank you so much for the host. Hello. Welcome in. Run this test. Let's see how it goes. Quality Coder is another member of the Live Coders team. Friends.
Everything is awesome.
It worked. So good to see you. All right, let's do the next step of that test. Did it actually create an argument with the name foo? Right? Over here. Right, so we're checking and saying, well, there should be one in there. Cut instance event raised contains key foo should be true. Isn't that a thing? It should be true is a thing, isn't it? If it's not, it should be. See what I did there? Should be. That's it. Never mind. No squirrel time. We might be able to do a little party time. Yes! We got that BubbledEvent work. There we go. We got it. That took way too long for this gimmick. I don't know what to tell you. But we got it. Events are bubbling. Yes. A button can now be pressed and it will send that command that the button was pressed. Here's the information about the button press to the parent component. We're trapping it, we're isolating it. And in this BubbleEvent test, we've identified and analyzed, and we can report that it's behaving properly. Love it. Love it. Oh my goodness. That feels so good to get this little piece working. It's just a little something, but it's going to go a long way as we move forward with the other features in this project. All right. Let's commit our changes. Let's get ready to close things up, set up a raid, and move on. Move on with our day. Get you over to another somebody else who's doing some code here on Twitch. I've got too many things going at once here. Let's turn off the music. Yeah. Time for a rousing game of bubble. No bubble tastes. I can't even talk straight. Oh my goodness. Let's do a git status. Add our changes. They're good. Raphael!
Raffle could just resubscribe for 8 months.
8 months. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate you joining us and for your support. We're going to make a donation to code.org. You saw we made that donation yesterday here on stream. We're going to continue that throughout the end of March, and we'll have another donor that will help out in April. All right, let's commit this in. Git commit. Completed event. No, completed button command event bubbling with a unit, including a unit test. Yeah, there we go. All right, friends. This has been tremendous. I am so happy that we got this done. This is an important piece because this is something that you see in a lot of component frameworks, is that something inside of one component triggers and you're able to handle with another component, and we've got it working now. This is really, really great. Let me see who we can raid. Let's get the raid call ready. We're gonna look at the big Twitch television network here and see what else is going on. Looking down, scanning down the list of wonderful folks that are out there. You know what? Here's somebody that we haven't raided, and they're another member of the Live Coders team. Yeah, we're gonna raid. This is Ace Gikmo on Twitch, but this is Freya that we're gonna head over and raid. So let me put the raid call out there, and if you're a subscriber, copy this first line of text, put it on your clipboard. If you're not, that's okay. Grab this second line, copy it onto your clipboard. We're going to go over, we're going to say hello to Freya. They're doing a Math for Games lecture, writing some code and talking about math teaching students all about building games. So, let me put that raid ace gitmo. There we go. This is a mature audience's channel we're headed into. That's okay. You're going to have a great time. You're going to learn something about math and programming. Who knew? Math! Right? Thank you so much, friends. I really appreciate you joining me today. This video, like all my other videos, will be available over on the YouTube channel. We're getting the videos over there. They're coming through. Yeah, Kate's math. Who would have known? Who would have thought it, right? All right, friends. Take care. I'll see some of you over at MVP Summit. Those of you that I don't, have a good one. I'll be back at 8 a.m. tomorrow. 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific, noon UTC, and we'll write some more code then. Take care. Oh, Graham.